Champlain College is a small, private, and very hackable college in Vermont that you need to consider, especially if you want to go into a career in video games. Today, I'm grading Champlain in 4 categories so that you can know if it's the right school for you. We'll average it into a GPA at the end, and good schools tend to get at least a 3.0, so we'll see if Champlain has what it takes. Champlain is super affordable, coming in at $335 per credit hour, or about $1,000 per class, and the average for a class is about $1,200, so that's actually pretty good. But if you're military, you have an associate's, or you're an alumni, that price gets dramatically chopped. And while there's no application fee, there is a $150 graduation fee, and some of the classes do require textbooks. But, I mean, if you've got abebooks.com or thriftbooks.com, you're good to go. Champlain, pretty affordable, not the cheapest out there, still really good. So we're going to give them a B for cost. Champlain accepts a lot of alternative credits. Basically, alternative credits let you earn college credit outside of the school much faster and for a reduced cost, and then you transfer them in so that you can finish your degree quickly and inexpensively. First, they have an internal process for assessing your knowledge called Champlain Knowledge Evaluation Tool, or CCET, I think is probably how they pronounce it. After completing at least one term at Champlain, you can enroll for about $250, and then you have 7 weeks to go through the assignments for the specific course you want to try to test out of. After you submit, an evaluator will review it, see if you've got what it takes, and you can earn up to 60 credits this way at Champlain, which is awesome. That's like, what is that, like a quarter of the cost? But that's not all. If you have specific and relevant life or work experience, then you can actually submit a portfolio and potentially get credit that way as well. But college hackers tend to use faster and more surefire ways of earning alternative credit like study.com or CLEP or Sophia, which we talk about a lot on this channel. And Champlain does accept roughly 70% of Sophia credits, though mostly as generic electives, so they're only going to really fit into the free electives or maybe sometimes the general education courses. They accept tons of study.com, but mostly as electives, and they accept most CLEP exams, but they don't share where they would fit into the degree, so it's not as useful as you'd think. They seem to accept DSST, but no Sailor or Straight Line as far as we could determine. The unsurety is not ideal, but let's say you were going to go get a business degree at Champlain. We're pretty confident that you could test out of at least 50% of it. That's basically taking 2 to 3 years of school and turning it into less than 6 months. Plus, you can transfer up to 75% of your degree overall, which is what we like to see in the most hackable schools. All things considered, for transfer friendliness and hackability, we're going to give them a B. When we assess degree options at a school, we're looking for 2 things: variety and flexibility. When it comes to flexibility, I would say that Champlain is pretty solid and sort of middle of the road. They don't have this huge category list of every single major you could ever think of, but they have all of the basic ones, and then they actually niche into some really interesting ones. They've got 29 different bachelor's degrees, and these include digital media, esports management, game development, game design. Apparently someone at Champlain really likes video games. And actually, they're the only school so far that I've seen this committed to this kind of major. So if you're wanting to go into a career in video games, I would really recommend that you look at what the school has to offer. They might be your top option. They also offer other options like accounting, cybersecurity, criminal justice, business, computer science, and even an integrated studies degree, which is what I like to call a Chipotle degree, where you can basically transfer in a lot of credit from work experience or alternative sources and build the major yourself. And as far as flexibility, Champlain is pretty solid. Their free electives are generally 15 to 30 credits large, which is good, not great, just kind of average, and that lets you bring in credits from other sources. Their general education is an average standard size of 42 credits, which also means that there's lots of opportunities to CLEP and test and transfer credits for. So overall, we've got solid options, solid flexibility. We're going to give them, you guessed it, another B. And now for arguably the juiciest category. Do people actually like going to Champlain? For starters, Champlain gets big props for having a 66% graduation rate. Shows that they're caring about their students, supporting them, and trying to find students who will actually have what it takes to get through. The average rate for online programs these days is somewhere around like 35%, which is pretty bad. And I will admit that half of Champlain's student body is residential, which tends to have a higher graduation rate, but still, there's no way that their online rate is not higher than 35 at this point, so good on them. They are fully accredited, and they are nonprofit, which is really great to see. And then there are always going to be complaints about schools from students, but Champlain seems to be pretty low drama. Most of the complaints that you see online are pretty hilarious, with residential students complaining that there's nowhere to party. Well, yeah, it's Vermont. I think this review in particular is hilarious. In the middle, the food served is not very good. For example, yesterday's lunch was a carrot in a hot dog bun. If that's true, that is awful, but it's also hilarious. And I can't believe that is the thing, that and the social scene being dead or whatever is the reason that you gave it 2 out of 5. So yes, Champlain's niche.com review, which is what we tend to benchmark with, is 3.7 out of 5 stars. On average, the schools that we tend to really like are 4.3, but because they have such a large percentage of residential students who seem to not like living in Vermont very much, we're going to just ignore that particular rating. Particularly because out of all of the reviews that I could find from students who are actually online students, we tended to see a lot of comments about professors being accessible and helpful, as well as someone attesting to the well-organized online platform. The only complaint I found from an online student was somebody saying that the master's program was just rehashing the same coursework as previous classes. Probably fair, but also welcome to master's programs. And Champlain seems to recognize that online education can be pretty lonely. So they, on their website, say that they're very diligent about making sure there's a discussion board every week so students have, some level of feeling like they're in a class. Plus, they also talk about having small class sizes. Now, they don't bother to share with anybody what the class sizes are, but they claim that they're small, which is good, and that lines up with what students have been saying about professors being accessible and easy to reach. Oh, and something that's actually pretty cool is they value hands-on learning, so they try to not make it just you sitting in front of a computer all day, but if there's a way for you to integrate a homework assignment into something you're already doing in your community or at work, they do have opportunities for that or ways to try to make that happen, which I think is phenomenal because hands-on learning, hands down, is one of the best ways to learn. So for all of that, I think their student experience to me, from everything that I've researched and read about here, sounds phenomenal. We're going to give them an A for student experience. And when it comes down to it, Champlain College gets a 3.25, which means that I approve. Champlain may be slightly less hackable than some of the schools that we talk about on our channel, but particularly if you're looking for a career in gaming or you like what this school is about or you want that hands-on learning, I think that they're a really reasonable, affordable option with what sounds like a very quality-oriented approach to administering their online program. So yeah, I say go for it. And if you want help picking the college that's right for you, hacking your degree in general, building a plan to reach your career goals, sign up for a consultation at the link in the description. We help busy adults graduate college quickly and inexpensively so they can build a career that they love, often for just like $6,000 to $13,000 in 6 to 18 months. So we'd love to help you too. Thanks for watching and happy hacking.